Today on Max Handy Gadgets, we're back in the workshop trying to fix this flickering ring light. You think we could fix it? Let's find out. Okay, this ring light definitely flickers and it's a pain in the neck, to keep on, and when it stays on it just sits there and flickers like it's doing. Now if you can see it, this is barely lit, this button, and it's flickering. Can you see the button flickering? It's crazy. Alright, let's find out what's wrong with this ring light and see if we can fix it. I believe it might be a connection problem or maybe even a short circuit or something melted. Okay, let's check it out. Look at that control, it's crazy. Alright, okay, let's get rid of the ring light for a minute. Alright, let's quickly inspect the power adapter. Now this is like an Amazon power adapter, and they're really nice because they fold up and you can store them pretty quick, without them popping out through your bag, right? Let's go ahead and look in there and maybe we can see something. You know what? Those terminals look pretty clean and good. So I don't think it's this. So let's put this aside. Alright, now let's inspect the wires here on this ring light. Now the button seems to be working pretty good. They're clicking nice, and the wire don't seem to be, broken anywhere or kinked. So let's check the plug and see what we got. Okay, here's the plug. Now let's get in close and see what we got here. Let's see if we can see anything. You see that, guys? That's all burnt and cracked in there. That little white piece of plastic, I bet you that's our culprit. Alright, let's see if we can get that out of there and, inspect it a little further. Alright, let's get in there with a little apparatus, right? Yeah, that's going to be a bit tricky. Or maybe the needle pliers? Nope. A dental pick or something like that. Boy, that's in there. I'm pulling pretty hard and it's like glued or something, but it's melted. Alright, there it is, guys. There it is. It's loose. Tight. Alright, there it is. Okay, guys. It's definitely melted. And that plug is pretty bad in there. Okay. Yep, something really was not making good contact and everything was melting, right? Alright, let's put this aside. Take a little better look at the plug. Definitely looks pretty good in there, except there's some burnt marks on them contacts. Yeah, I think we're going to actually have to replace either the whole cord, which you can't do because it has those buttons on there, These buttons. So we're going to have to keep this and just replace the plug, right? Just this plug right here. So let's try to do that. We'll go ahead and replace just the plug. Alright, now I went ahead and bought a kit like for fixing USB-A plugs, and they come 5 in a pack. So it seems like we have plenty, right? We can fix other cords if it works good. And yeah, it comes in like separate pieces so you can solder them together. And these are the solder type. They don't just crimp on or anything. I'll put a link in the description for these because if they work good, they come in handy, right? Alright, let's put these aside for a minute and I'll get one out of the package. Alright guys, here's the plug. And it comes with, the housing. I guess they snap shut. I think we're better off gluing them together though, so they don't fly apart afterwards, right? So let's put these aside for a minute. Alright, let's take a close look at the plug. Yeah, they seem like they have some nice terminals. Let's see if the camera will focus in. Here it is. So they got 4 terminals, and probably one's a ground and one's positive. And we have to find out which one it is, right? So let's go ahead and do that. And they look a lot better in there, don't they? Okay. Alright, let's get ready to solder this on. So let's go ahead and strip our wire back, and then we'll clamp this in a vise or something so we can solder it good. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and cut the plug off the end of this, because it's no good. That was all burnt and crispy in there. So let's cut it off. Alright. Let me skin this back and we'll get ready to solder. Alright, let's skin this back. Okay, let's see if we can pull this off here. Okay. Well, there's some little wires right there. Yep, the black and the red one. Alright. Let's see if we can take our old micro skinners and see if we can skin these wires back. There's one. Let's do the other one. There's the other one. Boy, they're pretty darn tiny. I don't know if you can see them, but they are tiny wires. Alright, might have to get my magnifying glasses on for this one. Alright, let me set up and get ready to figure out which is which on that plug, you know, positive and negative, right? Let's do that first, and then we'll mark it before we solder. Alright, let's take our power adapter and we'll get our plug, right? And we'll plug it in there, just like that. Now we'll bring in an extension cord, you know, and we'll plug our adapter in, and we'll go ahead and test this and see just where positive and negative is. I think positive might be either on the left or the right, but we're going to find out. And the casing usually is negative, but there also is a terminal for negative. Let's check it out and see which one's which. Alright, let me see if I can get a meter in the shot so I can show you. So we'll just go ahead and put that right there. Can you see it? It'd be about right like that. Okay. Alright, let's check it out, guys, and see which one's what. Alright. Okay, the one on the right's positive, and the one on the left is negative. Now, the case is the ground. Okay. So we got the black lead over on the left and the red one on the right. Perfect. Let's go ahead and mark the black side. Alright. That's so I don't forget by the time I set up and get ready to solder. Or should I say solder. Alright, let's get our meter out of the way. Let's go ahead and unplug our adapter. We don't want to be soldering while that's plugged in, right? Alright, let's see if we can hold this down somehow, maybe in a vise or something. Alright, let's do it. Alright, let's move stuff out of the way and we'll bring in a vise. And we'll put this right in there. Alright, let's put it right in here just like this. Okay, let's put a little flux on our wires here, just a little bit, and we'll tin them. Let's see if we can move these in here and line them up real good. Helps to have a holder for this. Now let's solder them up. Okay, that's perfect. Nice job there. Okay, we got the black to the neutral and the red one to the positive. That's good. Now all we have to do is assemble this and maybe glue it together, right? So it doesn't fall apart. And then we'll give it a test, right? See if it still flickers. Alright, let me get this out of the vise, then we'll put our plug housing on. You know, this piece, right? The top and bottom. Yep, they're different. There's a top and a bottom. Okay, let me get this out of the vise. Alright, that's in there really tight, I think. Yeah, I'm going to need a pliers or something like that to pull it out of there. Okay. It looks pretty good. Alright, we ought to give this a quick test before I put the housing on, right? Wouldn't that make more sense? It would. Alright, let's do that. Let's see what we got here. We'll plug it back in again. Right? And we'll go ahead and plug in our extension cord. Alright, there you go. Alright, it looks like our light's lit. Can you believe it? Can you see it? Alright, let me bring in our light and see if I can get it in the shot here. And let's turn it on. Wow, it's working. And there's no more flickering. Oh, that's perfect. Plus you can change colors now. Nice. Alright. Let's button up the plug and we're good to go. Okay, let's unplug it. And we'll pull it out of there again. It's in there real tight. Because we don't have anything to grab onto, you know, but the wires. And I don't want to pull on the wires. So I'd rather pull on the housing, you know, when we get it buttoned up. Okay, now it's got two little holes in the underside. I don't know if you can see them. You see them? Okay, and I think they line up with the housing here. See them little tits that are sticking out? Yep. They line up, I think, with them. Let's see. Yep. They sure do. And the top piece looks like it lines up with these other little location marks. And you can put the wire in here. And the top piece goes on. Just like that. And then you mash it down and it's supposed to stay shut. But I think I'm going to glue that in there. You know, so it doesn't come out. And maybe I'll put a little hot glue right there and help things out. Keep the tension off the wire, right? Okay, let's do the hot glue first. Then we'll put the top on. Alright, let's do that. We'll put the hot glue there and we'll put the top on. Alright. Alright guys, let's put a little hot glue on there. Alright, now to snap our cover on, we're going to use a little of this Loctite super glue. And we're going to put that on there and then we're going to snap it shut. Okay, let's put a little on. Okay, let's take our cover and we'll snap it on there. Okay, I heard it snap, so we're good. Okay, let's make sure we're closed all the way. Yep. Okay, we're good. Alright guys, there it is. Look at that plug. It's nicely fastened on there and we put that hot glue on there and it looks good. Plus we super glued it with the Loctite. So it shouldn't come off of there, you know, when you pull on the cord, right? So that's a lot better than it was before. Now all we have to do is give it a test, right? Hopefully it works now that we close it all up. Alright, let's bring in our charger, our power supply, and we'll plug it in. Right, and we'll hook up our power cable. Alright, let's bring in our light. That's our ring light, guys, so hopefully it works, right? Okay, let's turn it on. Wow, beautiful. No flickering. Boy, is this nice. I'm so used to it flickering and me fiddling with the cord and I don't know what's wrong with it, and then it stays on and goes on and on. Boy, is this nice. I'm glad we fixed it. Yep, we can turn it back off. On. Alright. We can even adjust it. The brightness. And the color. Look at that. Neat. Okay, everything seems to be working really good. Really good, guys. I'm really glad we fixed this one, because they come in handy when you're doing videos, and they can, you know, put the light right where you want it, and it works out good. Alright guys, if you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. This is great. No more flickering ring lights. That sounds good to me. And you can change the colors. That is really neat. Working good, guys. Okay, and if you're interested, the soldering iron I'm using, I'll put a link in the description if I can find the same model. It's a really good one. It's adjustable. I think it goes all the way up to 450 Celsius. I think. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, higher than that. 480 degrees Celsius. Can you see it? Wow. That's hot. And it can go all the way down. I usually have it at about a little under 400. I usually have it a little under 400 Celsius, something around right there, 350, 360. Seems to work pretty good. Alright guys, there's our soldering iron. I thought you'd like to see it. And our glue gun is by DEKO. It's a pretty big one. It's got like 3 or 4 different nozzles that come with it. And it really does come in handy, and it's got a temperature sensor on the bottom. You can adjust it, you know, so that's good. You can adjust the amount of heat you have. Alright, let me put this away, and I'll catch you on the next one.